Agent. You retrieved the supplies. Gotta admit, I wonder sometimes if it's worth struggling so much. The entropy is so great. Does the very struggle against it make it worth the while? Good question, Agent. Over.
Tom Clancy's The Division. Here's what I think is a perfect analogy for this game. The Rioter represents the game's development team. Their gun illustrates every gun, feature, ability, and aspect of all the video games that came before it. And the body on the floor is you, the player. Now, one might applaud their tenacity, and that AK seems pretty solid, but this is what the player can expect without variation throughout the entire game. We got Watch Dogs again, everyone. I imagine Tom Clancy's rolling in his grave with such fervor, it measures moderately on the Richter scale. It honestly makes me want to do this. Oh, you mean like this? What, like this? Tell me if I'm doing it wrong! Gods, did they screw this one up. Sorry about that outburst. I'll have plenty of time to nitpick. Hey everyone, I'm Kravan, and what the fox is going on in the world of games? I'd hoped to finish this review much sooner, but now that technical difficulties are finally aside, I find myself late to the game, both literally and metaphorically, now just parroting what many have said before me, that Tom Clancy's The Division is highly repetitive, unbalanced, and merely okay at best because it offers nothing you or anyone else hasn't seen before. I'm sure it's comparable to Destiny, but I wouldn't know. I've avoided that game for all the same reasons, and should have seen this coming once everyone started fervently comparing the two. I'd played the beta before the game launched, and I also got a little time with initial release before needing to fix my computer, finally playing again during versions 1.2 and 1.3. The reason I say all of this is because my opinions haven't changed throughout any of those experiences, and I think that's important. Still, you've probably already heard a lot of what I'm going to say, so this isn't going to be a standard review, more so an example of how not to make a game, and how a little extra thought and effort could have made a game that didn't lose roughly 4/5 of its players in about 4 months. It's honestly pretty impressive.
Son of a bitch has lost it!
First things first, The Division's an online-only, open-world, third-person RPG shooter, genres, am I right? About a group of highly trained government sleeper agents stationed across the country, called forth to battle a virus-turned-plague originating out in New York City. The virus was apparently distributed on dollar bills being circulated on Black Friday, so it didn't take long to turn the city into a quarantine nightmare. The first wave of agents were already sent in, but almost all of them are MIA, so a second wave is now approaching. It's basically a zombie apocalypse scenario, but instead of the dead rising and becoming part of the future problem, the dead just stay dead. Yeah, in short, it's really a solid concept to portray human interactions in an apocalypse, and it sounds pretty par for the course for a modern movie, but the game wastes that potential, focusing instead on the ever-exciting taking cover and shooting at people thing. As a result, and I hate saying this, but the overdone zombie genre would have probably worked in this game's favor, but I digress. You play as one of those second wave agents, entering the game as a man or woman with one of the roughly 5 different faces available en route to a safe house in Brooklyn for your first assignment. Want to know where your agent came from, what they're like, or how they got here? Well, that's a shame since they don't address it. Onward! Walking around, it's easy to see all the effort put towards the graphics. I know, mine doesn't look the greatest. Hey, it's admirable my 5-year-old graphics card to even keep up, really. Still, I think it looks good. Textures are highly detailed. The lighting is gorgeous. And any fog or smoke is nothing short of impressive. I love the myriad of little details that emerge as a firefight unfolds. They could tell the whole story. Quality sound also fills in ambiance. Far-off fights, dogs barking, even the clinking of your backpack as you walk. The environment just reflects and reverberates every noise, providing quite a convincing atmosphere. Sadly, I have to shatter that illusion and tell you the truth, though. You may find that dog or those people fighting, but little beyond that. The effect's mostly superficial in spirit and execution. But gameplay makes the game. That's what's important, right? Whoa, slow down, impatient McSpeedy. First you gotta visit the safe house. Since every second wave agent's apparently a mute, you interact with an officer by pressing a button.
Thank God you're here, Agent. I've never seen Brooklyn like this. Jesus. I'm not gonna have any hair left when this thing is done.
You were back with Uncle Rick and when
You might see some other actual players, but don't get used to it. Unless you group up, you'll be alone again once you leave. Anyway, you receive your first mission, recovering some food stolen by the rioters. So, open up your map, set a waypoint, and you're off. Oh, you wanted some story development. Oh, see, you've been in the wrong line, my friend. This is the Shoot Stuff Stories Later ride. The developers seem certain you'd figure that out as you go. Once you find that nondescript military-grade food crate, what? You secure... Sorry, I mean interact with it, which magically attracts more rioters. After some explosive negotiations, they listen to your sagacity and stop throwing those meat shields at you. Now you gotta find the remaining supplies. Oh, by the way, no one but your HUD told you that. Oh, and also, no one's arrived to secure that crate. Shouldn't you stay until whomever arrives, ensuring it's safe? Nope, not your job anymore. Oh, but be sure to don that dapper hat you got from a rioter, though. It just might save your life. As you're following the next waypoint into an automotive shop, you may notice some symbols on the map. Hey look, there's a backpack. Looks like your mini-map points everything out for you. At least that should make finding essential things like food and water easier in this dreary apocalyptic societal collapse. I'm sorry. I couldn't finish that sentence. Spoiler alert, you never need to eat, drink, sleep, or do anything you'd think you'd have to do in a survival situation. Everyone knows you only drink water when you want your gun to shoot stronger bullets. Just a matter of physiology and simple logic, really. Now, as we journey inside, it is here, within the confines of this untamed concrete jungle, that we catch a glimpse of a very rare specimen indeed. The elusive loot chest. Much like Schrodinger's quantum paradox, the state and contents of such a container are unknown until opened, thus collapsing the function. Being the enigmatic, solitary creatures that they are, their habitats are typically restricted to inconsequential regions, tangential dead ends, and the occasional dragon-related dungeon. Anyway, before you even realize what happened, you've saved some hostages and started sieging a police station. Because, sure, why not? Hey, at least friendlies are helping this time. Chaos actually feels something like an assault for a few moments. You've gotten some new guns, equipment, maybe attachments. You're probably wondering why a scope only makes you 1.5% more accurate over iron sights, but you don't have time to worry about that. Hunker down, kill a bunch more rioters, but wait, you see that guy? He has a yellow health bar. Hey, you guessed it. After seeing them standing despite emptying 3 magazines into them, we can safely confirm boss status. Freaking armored hoodies, man. So they've got a lot more health, they do more damage, and, well, no, that's it. Seriously, they don't act any more tactically or intelligently. They mostly use the same weapons as the random thugs. We all can recognize some bullet sponge cop-out. Next! So Brooklyn's safe for now, thanks to your heroic efforts. Time to head where it all started, Manhattan itself. So head on down to the landing pad to meet your ride, along with one of the first wave of division agents, Fei Lao. Wait, a cutscene? Story time! Let's watch.
Over there. There's a bar behind that building. Best whiskey sours in Manhattan. If we take this city back, I'll buy you a drink. Sorry. I mean, when we take it back. Here it comes.
Never mind, nothing important. At least our new friend seems capable.
The rest of us should be in this chopper. Can't believe it's finally happening. Do this.
Welcome, Agent.
Oh, damn. Look at her go. She's got a broken leg.
Look, you're gonna be okay. Hell, at this point, you're more okay than me. Shit, that explosion took out the commander. Found out a little more about the first wave. They're all either dead or MIA. So this is up to us. That's why we need to get it together, right now.
So let me get this straight. Our commander's dead, our only friend is gimped, the city's in total chaos, a deadly virus is all around us, the first batch of agents are missing, and all we have to do is fix everything ourselves.
I bet's on you. It has to be.
Who saw that coming? Oh wait, this isn't a Let's Play. I'm sorry. Let's move on. You eventually find and establish a base of operations and go searching for particular people to help manage things. Namely, a doctor,
I've been in some hostile work environments before, but Jesus.
a military captain,
Best part is you freed up my first responders to go where they could do the most good.
Not bad for feds, huh?
I've seen worse.
and a gearhead.
Hope you lifted that right. You throw out your back toting that thing. It's not like you can file for workman's comp.
These people tell you if you find them the required resources, they'll restore functionality to the base, which in turn should help you restore the surrounding areas. In reality, it's a thin premise to give you a myriad of almost identical mini-missions around the map that contribute to a medical wing currency or some such equivalent. Returning to base occasionally to spend that currency only to unlock new skills, weapons, or services. Yeah, sure, they might say,
You're gonna be real popular when word gets out. The Recharge Center will let civilians power up the devices.
but let's not kid ourselves here. It's so you get stuff, like collecting crafting resources, or add more boom to your grenades. You know, standard RPG progression stuff, people, nothing more. This is where I'd usually expand on the core concepts of the game, or flesh things out, talk more about the intricacies, but I sadly find myself unable to do that. See, what I've shown you is what you'll be doing about 98% of the time. This is the general flow. You open your map, select a nearby symbol, and run there, maybe killing a person or two along the way. Once you're there, kill some people. Then kill some more people. Then A, push a button or series of buttons. B, kill even more people. Or C, you're done. Maybe this time you have to walk a linear path and kill twice as many people. Maybe this time you turn some valves while killing people. Or this time you carry a thing over here while killing people. Yeah, no, that's it though. Killing people. Oh, but that's all you ever do in any game, I hear some of you thinking. No, I'm sorry, but that is incorrect. As an example, I'll use the Fallout series. It's shown an affinity for violence time and again. While the newest one, Fallout 4, often favors bloodshed, every other title in the series demands only 2 kills or less. Don't believe me? Both New Vegas and Fallout 1 allow you to complete their campaigns without ever directly killing any living creature. But that's not possible here. Try to complete this game as someone who actually cares about these people and wants to save them. Resort to violence last. You know, that thing you agents are supposed to be doing. You can't. Instead, every agent's really just a government-designated murderous sociopath. How freaking helpful. Now, if there were things to do along the way to these missions, that might help. And actually, there are. Sometimes people will come up to you asking for assistance, usually in the form of water, chips, soda, etc. Push the button. Congrats, you got a jacket or some really shitty pistol. Moving on. You can find phone messages and conversations littered around.
It was hell, you know? But we couldn't do anything for them. We were out of beds, we were out of medicine, the staff were starting to come down with it. It was a nightmare.
You can locate missing agents. You can even somehow reconstruct the past with these neat echo things that I actually thought were done well enough.
It's an evacuation order, sir. You remain here at your own risk.
We worked our asses off for you and you're leaving?
Sir, you need to move.
Get your hands off me!
But that's really all that's there. Chunks of interactables. Little passing blips of story. A number towards a collectibles goal. Am I insane for saying that I'm sick to death of this crap in games nowadays? To be honest, if sanity means expecting some form of this in every game that I play, I'll take insanity, please, because I feel this repetitive activity is like carpal tunnel for my brain. Maybe it's just me, but who honestly thought that finding hundreds of little arbitrary pieces of experience segments with only a passing connection to the world was what people wanted to do with their time? Sure, one can argue games intrinsically are a waste of time, but we're already here, so let's be fair. At worst, this is a thinly veiled attempt to justify the value of the game or sucker self-proclaimed completionists into playing longer. And at best, it's a distraction to casual players who might actually be interested in immersing themselves in your world only to get this one sentence out of it. Simply put, unless you care about these details, make them worth actually finding, can you please stop wasting everyone's time? And this isn't just about Ubisoft, though I personally haven't played a game of theirs in the past decade without this in some form or another. To be honest, I was surprised we didn't have to climb buildings or towers to unlock sections of the map. Shit, I hope I didn't just give them an idea. So, what else is left? Well, there's the Dark Zone. It's a few sections of map that, for some really good reason I'm sure, are cordoned off and particularly more infected. It also happens to contain the best loot in the game, though you need to first find, then extract the loot via helicopter to decontaminate it for future use. It's also a player versus player zone where everyone starts off neutral, but is allowed to be a gaping dickhole by killing everyone else, allowing them to take your gear, though it's fair in the sense that you can always do the same to them. It's also about the only thing to look forward to once you've beaten the game. Taking a moment to sweep aside the massive logical inconsistencies in its presentation, the Dark Zone is a perfect example of a new, unique, and interesting idea executed terribly. Outside of it basically boiling down to, whoever has the best gear keeps getting the better gear, the core problem is that the only incentive to even acquire the better gear is so that you can keep acquiring even better gear. I'm sure some of you are already seeing the problem. Eventually you'll run out of better gear to grab, meaning you now have nothing to do, except start a new character, which isn't necessary, there's no different class to choose or anything. You could stop playing, or else spend your days in the Dark Zone trolling everyone else's fun. Now I suppose if your group met another group and everyone had the same gear, then it's actually an even and skill-based fight. But for what? Bragging rights? Their identical gear? What's my incentive here? Why even go in there at all? See, I can complete the game without anything from there. Maybe it'd be easier if I had, but that's hardly a reason to subject myself to unbalanced death after unbalanced death at the hands of better geared players. It legitimately has little to do with skill. When this game was first being discussed over 3 years ago, all the trailers and press talks and material released made this seem like it was going to be a co-op survival MMO, where you'd be able to build bases where you wanted, helped reconstruct things, you could run into other groups doing the same thing who may or may not turn on you. It had so much potential, it felt so alive, so dynamic. If you don't believe me, look up the old trailers. But what's terrible is this. This still could have been that. Why not make the whole world PvP if that was such a focus for you with the Dark Zone? Balancing issues? No, they clearly didn't care about that. I'm sure a large part of it was, oh, but it would have been hard. Well, guess what? I don't even like the game, but World of Warcraft back in 2006 called, and it's laughing at you, The Division, because it actually did this exact thing right over 10 years ago, the first time it was ever attempted. We definitely needed a new console cycle in order to handle the complexity of this game. Well, how about something like events? I see there's weekly and daily things, but I'm not talking about that. I mean actual events taking place in World. Here, I thought of one that could have worked really well with the World PvP concept and made sense in the game's lore. As it is now, everyone starts the mainland of Manhattan in this one coastal base, and that's where the influx of agents are appearing, usually around level 4. A few days after release, for a weekend event, once people have gotten situated, gotten some gear, let's say the rioters caught wind of the agent's arrival, and so attempt to siege the starting area. Any new recruits attempting to leave are suddenly staring at groups of level 8s, pinning them down from advancing further unless they advance tactically or work together or just happen to get lucky. The point is, make the level difference enough so that it's difficult without being impossible. Now when that's happening, alert all the other agents level 8 or higher of the siege, and ask them to help protect or escort the new agents with a promise of good loot or event rewards for, I don't know, killing so many rioters or having so many agents get into the city. Even if not full MMO, they could have made this an instance to simply phase in and out of, but I digress. Does that sound pretty cool though? Seeing other experienced agents rallying to help you and your group get through, or helping those others get through so that they can play the rest of the game? I thought it did, and that would have been enough for me, but let's take it one step further and assume full world PvP like the old trailers. Now, there's a distinct possibility that rogue agents, or even a group, could attack the good agents while they're distracted, either trying to steal their loot or battling because they like griefing, doesn't matter. Suddenly, the good agents have a two-front battle and need to tactically reassess. What would you do? Would you kill the rogues first while the new players die? Would you deal with the rioters first and hope that all of you guys combined could defeat the rogues? Would you just bail and save yourself and your gear? Well, it sounds to me like there's suddenly thinking involved. There might be actual tactics, a real, tangible MMO nature at play too. What's funny and a little sad is that World of Warcraft's already had a framework for this stuff for years, and it works just fine. What's even funnier and sadder is that I came up with this idea in about a minute at 4 in the morning after a bit of drinking. So given that they had years to come up with ideas, what's your excuse, Ubisoft? Do you even want me to mention the amount of glitches, bugs, and generally immersion-breaking things that I found in my brief time with this game?
Now leaving the contaminated area.
Okay then, rapid fire. Why can't I lean over this edge to shoot? Why can't I take cover at this particular spot? Why is that guy just running back and forth forever? Why are these two cars in a row literally identical in every way? What exactly am I stuck on here? Where could this door possibly go? Oh, and since this is Tom Clancy levels of realism, if a real-world AK-74 fires around at approximately 3,000 feet per second with an effective range of at least 1,500 feet, why does mine drop off after only 200 feet? It's like they didn't even try. Just slap the name on there. That's enough, right? Not that there aren't little things here or there I haven't touched upon, like the abilities. I don't know what to say about them, though, other than they're the same hotkey-based commands you use in any other action RPG or MMORPG. Look, a shield. Also, I throw grenades with my gun. Now I can deploy cover when I'm acting like a dumbass. Now I can make my concrete stronger than yours with magical, futuristic technology, but only for about 20 seconds. One thing this game does differently is being able to switch abilities on the fly, whereas most RPGs lock you into your class and skills, but I almost guarantee you'll just test them all out, find the few you like, and never use the other abilities again. Oh, I haven't expanded on the co-op. It's basically everything I've already said, except all the while you're sharing it with 1 to 3 other people, and you can bet your ass those bullet sponges get ironically less porous when you do. And don't even get me started on the crafting system. It was a box that needed checked on Massive's The Division to-do list. No more. In summary, there's nothing currently present that'd change my opinion. Look, it works, the graphics and sounds are fantastic, the controls are okay, and the gunplay feels solid, but nothing positively stands out or makes this game something I'd recommend. I got so close, but I couldn't even finish playing the story. It was just so dreadfully boring and uninspired. Even the sound becomes repetitive quickly.
Taking small arms fire! Small arms fire! Taking small arms fire! Small arms fire!
And while it's very pretty, how many times can someone walk past the same snowy roads and blockaded, burning buildings, shooting the same few bad guys before it feels a little stale? I'm gonna get hate for this one, but even for how old hat it is, unmodded Minecraft would offer you so much more to do for less than half the price. Yes, I said it. But none of this matters, and I'll explain why. Ubisoft already reported global first-week sales to be over $330 million, claiming it their highest grossing game to date. But that wasn't the only record broken. Launch weekend saw 1.2 million players at peak times, and the first week saw over 100 million hours of playtime. For those unwilling to do the math, that's over 11,400 years of time spent playing The Division in no more than 7 days. Let that one sink in. I hope I'm saying this right. Ubisoft's co-founder and CEO Yves Guillemot said this in response to the news. On top of record-breaking sales, player engagement's the highest ever for any Ubisoft title, demonstrating, among other things, that our investments in our online infrastructure and services are paying off. So, among other things, this is all to demonstrate how well Ubisoft's investments are doing, citing the highest ever player engagement as proof, right? Not exactly inspiring words from a game publisher, but if player engagement's their proof, then let's compare those peak players and hours invested to today's figures, near the end of July 2016, about 4 months after launch. For PC, I can only find numbers through Steam, which is objectively more popular than Uplay. This definitely skews the numbers though, but that's only because Ubisoft, Microsoft, and Sony won't publicly release that data, or else don't have it, which only begs the question, why believe their statements without any source or data to back it up? But let's press on regardless. Thanks to Steam charts, the highest number of players on Steam at any point was around 113,000 near launch. I'm sure a lot of Uplay-only players aren't in the mix, but it's easy to extrapolate from both sets of numbers that 9/10 of Division players are on the consoles. Actual proof of this can be found at DivisionTracker.com. Here we can see all the platforms, and outside of overall kills, every leaderboard is dominated by console players. Well, let's have a look at these top playtimes. Whoa, there's an unhealthy gap between the first 3 and the rest, huh? Going down this first 100 in the list, I only spotted a total of 4 PC players, meaning 1/25 of the approximate 130,000 hours on this page. Breaking down just the past 2 weeks, not only do we see a large slip in the numbers who played in that time frame, but we see a decline in the amount of time played overall. An average of less than 12 hours played per person in 2 whole weeks, less than an hour a day, and the median being less than 3 hours total, tells me that the diehard fans are heavily enhancing that average. Comparing that to the 1/10 of the 100 million hours they listed, I don't think current players even come close to 10 million hours in 2 weeks, let alone just 1. How about that impressive 1.2 million players at peak figure? I'll even aid it with my research to better represent the PC market, putting at about 113,000 PC players at peak. And the 24-hour peak is a little over 5,000. Not even 5% of its peak 4 months ago. Consoles aside, and knowing all of that, I can safely say that on PC, the Division is all but dead. But they've already got their money, guys, and you're not paying for monthly access like most MMOs. It's a slight stretch, but why think they'll put effort in to fix the problems now? Everyone, my dumbass self included, bought into this hype train and contributed to the business model they just proved to be lucrative, milking every penny from me with promises akin to politicians, ultimately delivering nothing but serviceable at best. So, my advice? Well, I'm not sure what they think they proved, but they certainly demonstrated what language they speak, and this isn't the first time either. So, stop buying into it. Stop pre-ordering. Definitely don't buy this game or its DLCs. Stop playing it if you are, and maybe, if we stop giving them money, they'll actually take notice. Until then, we can expect them and everyone who supports them to continue taking this success as their future business model, and we'll all have no one but ourselves to blame. Excuse me, sir. I'd like to play too, so if I could just move past you. Okay, guess I'll wait for you to do something interesting. Yeah.